On previous days, Sayadaw explained about the two jhanic factors, Vitakka and Vichara, from both theoretical and practical aspects. So yogis have by now understood the qualities of these jhanic factors of Vitakka and Vichara. Yogis who practice diligently, they will know from their experience, and combining with their experience of practice, they understand what is Vitakka and what is Vichara, because they also experience through their practice. Sayadaw explained that by applying two factors of Vitakka and Vichara, aiming, focusing the noting mind towards the object, and also sustained application so that the noting mind would rub onto the object. When these two factors are present, nivarana, which can hinder wholesomeness, will have no chance to arise. And also defilements have no chance to arise. These nivaranas and Kilesas defilements will be overcome and removed when these two factors, when these two jhanic factors are present. So the mind is free from agitation of these defilements and hindrances, and thus the mind is clear, serene, and pure. When the mind is not clear due to the disturbances of these defilements and hindrances, one will not know the true nature, and thus knowledge cannot develop at all. Even if the knowledge develops, knowledge will be weak due to the disturbances of these defilements and hindrances. That's why these hindrances, nivarana, are called paññāya duppalikarana, because they weaken the knowledge and also they hinder so that knowledge cannot arise at all. And these hindrances are also called as nivarana or avarana, and also ceteso upakilesa, because they pollute the mind. So these nivarana hindrances are condemned by the Buddha with these names: paññāya duppalikarana, nivarana, avarana, ceteso upakilesa. So these mental states, these hindrances which are condemned by the Buddha, if these nivaranas arise in the person will be degraded and inferior. When there is less hindrances arising in the person will be degraded to a certain extent. And when there are much of these nivarana hindrances, the person will be degraded and inferior to a higher level, to a higher degree. One should cultivate the three Samadhi Khandha, the three that are consisted in the Samadhi Khandha concentration group: Viriya, Sati, and Samadhi, effort, mindfulness, and concentration. Viriya, effort, does not accept Kilesas defilements from arising. Effort repels these defilements and also blocks the path of unwholesomeness. And also effort opens the path of wholesomeness. Having effort present, one can develop sati, mindfulness, and samadhi, concentration. If there is lack of effort, Sati and Samadhi, mindfulness and concentration cannot arise. If effort is strong, if the person can assert 3 stages of effort, then wholesomeness will flow, wholesomeness will be developed like a stream of current. Having viriya present, wholesomeness that has sati, mindfulness as chief will be developed, and also wholesomeness that has samadhi, concentration as chief will also be accumulated. When the yogi notes the object, aiming the noting mind towards the object and putting effort so that the noting mind will reach the object of meditation, the mind will fall calm and collected on the object, and thus yogi discerns the true nature distinctly and clearly. When these factors of viriya, sati and samadhi, effort, mindfulness and concentration become strong, there will be sustained mindfulness, the mind will fall calm and collected on the object, and thus wholesomeness that is very beneficial and blameless will be developed. Without these mental states of viriya, sati, samadhi, one will not develop knowledge, and thus his or her faith will be based on what the person had learned from books or from teacher or from reflection on these probability of these truths. So the person's faith and confidence will be weak if the person does not have personal knowledge gained through practice. So there will not be confirmation or decision that this is right, and his or her faith and confidence will not be unshakable. So the person's faith and confidence will only be based on what she had heard or learned through books or from teachers, and such kind of faith will be weak. When the person practices Vipassana meditation and gains knowledge, the person will come to accept, and she will be developing faith and confidence. And when the yogi attains path knowledge, she will come to accept and confirm and decide that this is the true way, this is the right way, and his or her faith and confidence will be strong, unshakable. So in order to gain that kind of faith and confidence, one needs to exert effort in the practice so that sati, mindfulness, will become strong, samadhi, concentration, will also become strong, and one develops knowledge. As the person develops knowledge, faith and confidence will be developed automatically as she gains knowledge. Gaining knowledge, the person will come to accept, confirm, and decide that this Dhamma is true. At the stage of Udiyataya Jnana, insight into facts arising and passing away of the object, one's saddha, faith and confidence will become amazingly strong. And Sayadaw will later on explain about this jnana. But today, Sayadaw will explain that when vitakka and vichara, initial application and sustained application, become strong, nivarana hindrances will be removed. And when one develops samadhi khanda, concentration group of viriya, sati and samadhi, how there will be the danga pahana, momentary removal of the defilement. And also Sayadaw will explain how these defilements can be distanced through gaining knowledge. In the past few days, Sayadaw explained that by learning the benefits of Satipatthana practice from reading or from teachers, and also knowing that Buddha had encouraged the yogis that by practicing Satipatthana meditation, one can get 7 kinds of benefits. Knowing that yogi has faith and confidence on the practice, and also she develops strong will to practice Satipatthana meditation in order to get these benefits. And Sayadaw explained about 4 kinds of sampajanya, 4 kinds of comprehension. Among the 4, Sataka sampajanya and Sappaya sampajanya, comprehension that Satipatthana practice is beneficial, and also Sappaya sampajanya, comprehension on suitability. Based on these 2, Sataka sampajanya and Sappaya sampajanya, one understands that Satipatthana meditation is very beneficial and suitable. So the person comes into practice when the person has less of these sampajanya, when the person has sampajanya, this comprehension, and having sampajanya, yogi comes to practice by noting the presently arising object with aim and effort. When yogi can note the object without failing, without missing, continuously, there will be Gosara sampajanya, comprehension of domain. And his or her mind will be clear, serene. The person will be free from uncertainty or doubt, and the person knows clearly, distinctly, and it will be asamoha sampajanya, when the mind is free from uncertainty and doubt by gaining knowledge. At that stage, the saying kayanupassi viharati, to be mindful of the bodily objects as bodily objects, one should observe on these bodily objects repeatedly, again and again. So in these bodily actions, when the person is doing bodily actions such as bending and stretching, yogis should observe as they are, as bending and stretching. In whatever posture the person may be, walking, standing, sitting, lying, the person should be mindful. Even when the person is lying in bed, yogi should be mindful. At the beginning of the practice, beginner yogi should give priority to noting the bodily actions which are most obvious. And it is according to the saying, Cittapagata Vipassana Viniveso. One should place his or her attention, mindfulness, on the object that is most obvious. And one should observe the object repeatedly over and over again, and it will be anupassana. And the person who observes repeatedly over and over again is called anupassi. In order to define the word anupassi, Buddha used the 3 words Adapi, Sampajano, and Satima. It means that a person who is called anupassi will observe the object as soon as the object arises with ardent effort. The person exerts ardent effort so that the noting mind will reach the object of meditation. Yogis should exert ardent effort, full of alertness, activeness, so that the object is noted immediately as soon as the object arises. The yogi should exert effort so that the noting mind reaches the object of meditation. And when the noting mind reaches the object of meditation, sati, mindfulness will develop. Yogis should have mindfulness, and this kind of mindfulness should not just be ordinary, but it should be extraordinary mindfulness. When there is extraordinary mindfulness, outstanding mindfulness, the mind will be pure and clean, and the mind will not go elsewhere. The mind will not go on to sensual objects or his or her family members, but the noting mind will be continuously on the object of meditation, and thus his or her mindfulness will be extraordinary and outstanding. When defining about mindfulness, it is not just ordinary, but it is defined as ativiya. Ativiya means extraordinary and outstanding. So the person has this extraordinary mindfulness, outstanding mindfulness, and in order to have this extraordinary mindfulness, one should exert ardent effort. Applying ardent effort, sati, mindfulness, will stick onto the object. The noting mind will sink into the object, and mindfulness will be firmly established. When there is firmly established mindfulness, the mind will not run elsewhere, but the mind will stick onto the object. The mind will fall calm and collected on the object. The mind will be unified, and it is said, awikepo samadhi. Having concentration, the mind will not be distracted or scattered, but the mind will be calm, collected, and unified. The mind will not be shaken by the defilements of raga and dosa, but the mind will be calm and collected, and there will be samadhi, concentration. When there is sustained mindfulness, there will be khanika samadhi, momentary concentration. But this samadhi is not mentioned, but if sati, mindfulness, is mentioned, samadhi automatically is mentioned. Whatever the bodily object arises, whatever the bodily action is, one should exert ardent effort to note the object so that there will be sustained mindfulness. The mind will fall calm and collected on the object, and thus concentration group of viriya, sati, samadhi, effort, mindfulness, and concentration will be very strong and energetic. When the noting mind is direct or face to face with the object, when the mind falls calm and collected on the object, yogi discerns the true nature. When the noting mind falls on stiffness, yogi knows stiffness. When the noting mind falls on the nature of tension, yogis know the nature of tension. When the yogi's mind falls onto movement, yogi comes to know the nature of movement. So, to be a person, a nupasi, one needs to exert ardent effort. One should possess extraordinary, outstanding mindfulness, and also samadhi, concentration. When the yogi observes over and over again, repeatedly, one will come to know the true nature of the object, and the person is called Anupati. And in order to become Anupati, one should be Adapi, Sambhajano, and Sativa. Kaya-nupassana, contemplation on the body, is explained by these three words, Adapi, Sambhajano, Satima. The same goes with Vedana-nupassana. So one should one should note the object with ardent effort so that outstanding mindfulness will be developed, and thus one will gain knowledge. So one should be mindful whenever the bodily actions arise. One should be mindful whenever feelings or sensations arise. One should be mindful whenever the thoughts arise, and one should be mindful whatever the general activities are. Buddha attained knowledge by practicing this method himself, and Buddha attained Sappanyutta Jnana, omniscient knowledge, by practicing the method himself. So through Buddha's practice, Buddha knew that all things are impermanent. The materiality also arises and passes away, and thus it is impermanent. And because this materiality perishes, it cannot be included in the list of good things. So, knowing that things pass away after arising, it is automatically taken as no good, and they are suffering. And these materiality, they arise due to relevant causes. They arise as cause and effect. So one cannot have one's own wish that let only such materiality arise. Don't let other materiality arise. So in this way, these materiality are arising, happening in their own accord, and thus there is no atta, no self involved. And also, these materialities, they are loathsome and foul. But people, they not seeing the foulness, loathsomeness of these materialities, they think of them as beautiful, pleasant. But actually, these materiality, rupa, are loathsome and foul. And also, they are impermanent, suffering, and non-self. In order to see the true characteristics of impermanent, suffering, and non-self, and in order to discern that these materiality are loathsome and foul, one should practice kaya-nupassana, one should contemplate on the body, and one should have these mental factors of viriya, sati, and samadhi, effort, mindfulness, and concentration. And one should observe these objects as they are, so that one will discern that these objects are impermanent, suffering, and non-self, and one will know through his or her own experience of practice. People who do not practice Vipassana meditation, that can develop the mind and the knowledge. So such people who do not practice, they think that the group of materiality are good and pleasant. So they hold a high esteem on the group of materiality, and they think that it is the same materiality throughout one's life. They think that it is the same body same materiality throughout one's life. They think that the body they had, the materiality they had since young, grew up to be old. They think it is the same materiality that they had since young. And they think that these materialities are permanent and pleasant. They also think that the body can do according to one's wish, going, walking, eating, having fun, and so on. They also think that there is individual soul and the supreme soul, and they think of them as good and pleasant. Because they do not know that these materialities are arising and passing away, they think of these materialities as beautiful and pleasant. They hold high esteem that these materialities are beautiful and pleasant. So these people's knowledge, these people's perception has been deviated, perverted, and such kind of perversion of these concepts, perversion of this perception has been going on for a long time. Not only in this life, but even from previous existences, such people are clinging, their minds are perverted, and their perceptions are perverted because they do not know the truth, and they do not make the effort to know the truth through practice. That's why they are perverted, and also one should rectify, one should make effort so that such kind of people will be, and also one should rectify, one should make effort so that such kind of people will be rectified. So one should be mindful on these bodily actions, thoughts, sensations and feelings, and also general activities. Whatever object that arises, one should be mindful of them so that one comes to know that these bodily actions, sensations and feelings, and thoughts, and these general activities are impermanent, suffering, and non-self. Buddha taught that these things are impermanent, suffering, and non-self. In order to discern the true nature, one should be mindful when these objects arise, and one should exert effort so that there will be sustained mindfulness, and one comes to know the true nature. By doing thus, there will not be perversion. But if the noting mind does not fall onto the object of meditation, when there is lack of viriya, and samadhi, when there is lack of effort, mindfulness and concentration, the mind will be perverted. So one will think that things are permanent, good and self. And one can have this wrong view of atta, individual soul and supreme soul. When the noting mind is not direct or face-to-face with the object of meditation, when the noting is not effective, there can be perversion of perception, perversion of belief, and so on. So in order to prevent this perversion from arising, one should be noting, one should be mindful on the object, one should be mindful of the presently arising object. When the person can note the object, the mind will not be perverted, there will not be perversion of perception, there will not be perversion of knowledge, or there will not be perversion of belief. People know impermanence as a concept. For example, when a leaf drops from the tree, and when the tree dies, when the pot breaks, or when a person dies, they take it as impermanent just as a concept, not through their knowledge. And they do not know that these nama-rupa phenomena arise and pass away, and they just know it as suffering, only as a concept. And they know of suffering when there is stomachache or the pain in the neck, but their knowing is connected with the concept of abdomen or the feet, pain in the feet, stomachache, and so on. And such kind of knowledge are not gained through practice, and their knowledge is connecting with concept. And they know that life is impermanent, suffering and non-self, and what they know is connected with concept, and it is not Vipassana jnana, it is not insight knowledge. Only if one discerns impermanent suffering and non-self through the practice of Satipatthana, his or her knowledge will be true knowledge. Without the knowledge gained through practice, there can be perversion of perception, perversion of knowledge, and perversion of view. Buddha discerned that there is no atta. What is only present are the mentality and materiality. And Buddha taught that nama-rupa, mentality and materiality, are not atta themselves, and there is no atta involved in nama-rupa, mentality and materiality. So Buddha denied the fact that there is atta. So people of other beliefs, they believe in atta as nanadikaranamata. They believe that atta is where knowledge is located. They believe in two kinds of atta. The first one is parama atta, supreme soul or universal soul. And the Hindu believes that Mahabrahma is parama atta. And the other kind is jiva atta, individual soul, and they believe that individual souls are possessed by each and every being. And they believe that the Mahabrahma, Supreme Soul, had created this individual soul in each of the beings. And they believe that the Mahabrahma, the Supreme Atta, is controlling the whole world, and the beings have to do things according to the wish of this Mahabrahma. If the Mahabrahma orders the being to die, the being has to die. If the Mahabrahma orders the being to live, the being has to live. And they believe that this Mahabrahma knows everything that should be known. And they say that it is ego, there is one and only Mahabrahma. And they say that sukha dukkha rahito, they believe that Mahabrahma is neither happy nor sad, and there is no definite shape or form of this Mahabrahma. And they believe that jiva atta, individual soul, is in each and every of the beings, and this jiva atta also has its own quality and control. So the beings, they see, hear, smell, taste, touch, controlled by the Jiva Atta. So they believe that Jiva Atta is controlling in seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and so on. And they also believe Jiva Atta is Nitya, permanent. Even though the body may perish, but the Atta moves into another body. Buddha denied that both of these Atta are present, and Buddha said there is no self, no Atta. And Sayadaw will continue to explain from both theoretical and practical aspects tomorrow. And Sayadaw says, in order to know the true nature of Nama Rupa, one needs to practice. Discerning mind and matter, one removes the view of Atta. And discerning cause and effect, through practice, one understands that there is no creator. In this way, one can remove the view of creator by practicing Vipassana meditation. Sayadaw will continue to explain the next day. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.